Most of the data issues are communicational issues.
Percent of the data problems are people problems. It's more people talking to people and actually trying to solve it. Welcome to Data Breakthroughs, the podcast where every episode starts with a mystery. My guest and I walk in blind. No clue what the problem is, no idea about the industry, and definitely not here to spend an hour debating tech stack. Instead, we unwrap a real problem from a real person, figure out what's actually going on, vanish for 15 minutes to think on our own, and then return to see if we can crack it live. It is part detective story, part improv challenge, and part let's see what breaks. No scripts, no preps, just curiosity, creativity, and a dash of chaos. Today, my partner in problem solving is the wonderful Philipp. Hi Philipp, how's it going?
Hey, great. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm so happy to have you here. A marketing specialist, marketing analytics specialist, sorry.
Okay, but actually marketing specialist. That's my, I'm a data, I'm a marketing nerd turned data dude at some point in my life. So
You started in marketing, moved to data, right? I
yes,
remember correctly.
exactly.
And actually you were my guest in What the Data podcast. This is where we met long time ago.
Yeah.
On a time even.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you here today. And what we gonna be working on is still a secret even for me. I haven't seen yet the problem. And I think that we are ready to reveal it. What do you think?
Let's see.
And let me share my screen quickly.
Surprise.
Do you want to see the surprise? Then, here you go. So, our problem today that we're going to work on is submitted by one of the community members. I asked for a report on a new customers about marketing and sales came back with completely different numbers. We spent the whole meeting arguing about whose number was right instead of planning our next steps. How can I avoid such events in the future? What steps should I, CPO, take beforehand? I'm sure this is a problem. You haven't been there yet. You haven't seen it.
Never. No.
Usually all the numbers match.
Always.
Is it in your...
That actually, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Cool.
Or should I say no, because then it's more
Dramatic?
It's exactly outside of my comfort zone. It's conflict. That's very hard.
Well, we're going to increase the heat. Then instead of 90 days plan, we're going to do it now in 10 days plan. I'm sure it's going to make somebody sweat here.
We could do it in 7. That feeling is we could do this in 7.
Cool.
Okay.
They also add some more information about the situation. So let's see this one as well. My team would pull numbers from our system and the marketing and sales team would pull from theirs. We assumed they were roughly the same and made a decision based on our own report. We can't make basic strategic decisions if we cannot agree on our most fundamental metrics. On this, nobody gonna fight. This is indicating cost and cost us time and market opportunity, and it makes us look disorganized. In the above topic, we spent 4 weeks to align on the number and disagree and commit to it.
Okay.
It's already a good start. The trigger for it, we had a joint leadership offsite where both teams were asked to present on the new customer acquisition KPI. The discrepancies was public and impossible to ignore.
I don't know why you would ignore this.
You accept it.
You shouldn't. Hey, how many customers do we have? Let's roll the dice.
Don't laugh about it. I've been
I'm not,
in this situation, that somebody got so radically just done the average in the middle of the session and forced everybody to say the average number all the time. It corrected them.
So, tension.
There is nothing about the
The tech stack.
The tech stack. There is nothing about the tech stack. From tension perspective, they added here, I can't trust the data my own team gives me, and there is a growing friction with the sales team. We are all spending more time defending our numbers and doing our jobs.
Yeah, that's internal politics. Let's call it at its finest.
And then from boundaries perspective, they have added here the message. This isn't about the reports design or a slow computer. It's about the fact that our company has multiple conflicting truths for the same exact question. I think he already gave a solution in here, no? With the boundaries.
Yes. The only thing that really now is a bit sad that we don't know what more or less the three units use, not on a defined thing, we're using HubSpot or something. I don't really care about that. But are we looking into marketing comes from a classic tracking perspective, sales comes from their CRM, and let's say problem giver CPO comes from back-end account table or something. So we don't practically currently know what's the foundation of the underlying numbers that we're now trying to align upon.
I think we should maybe make this as an assumption.
We have to, because otherwise both of our recommendations, clarity statements and everything else would be completely mumble jumble because we're not working on the same foundation then, or thinking on the same foundation.
Yeah. So we're saying product is using backend, marketing using tracking, sales, internal sales software, or
just let's say CRM.
CRM. Let's do CRM.
This sounds a bit like some SaaS solution. That sounds a bit like B2B and a younger organization.
The young organization, for sure, that's how it sounds like. I don't know what they're doing, honestly. This is not part of the data I receive, because we're doing this anonymously on the blog, so people can just submit problems. But if the person who wrote it wants to share, they're more than welcome to comment on it and maybe even reach out to one of us and have a more discussion about it.
Yeah.
It will be cool. We're limiting it and we're saying, okay, we have 3 sources of data, which most likely conflicting, and this is one of the main issues. If we need to create a clarity statement, do you have any idea how we can create it?
You mean
so what do we need to solve?
Process-wise or formulation?
We need to start with what we actually solve. So what do we want to solve here? Specific problem. Do we want to solve the fact that there is no one true source of data? Do we want to solve the problem of disagreeing and committing to numbers?
Which is more or less an add-on to having a concise data landscape architecture around what for which sense is our source of truth. Yeah, for me it would be more or less about deciding, aligning on a source of truth for specific metrics, numbers, dimensions, etc. As we always need to do, because around the company you always have conflicting inputs. Just had a call before this around an ERP, a CRM, and let's call it a sales management platform. And as we always know, we're lazy folks as humans, and we enter names of companies differently, which is lovely if you at some point want to join stuff because you've got different inputs on the different systems. How many contacts did we have? What did they practically buy, which is in your ERP, to what messages did they react, which is something you most of the times have you got in your CRM. So hallelujah, and then it's data quality at the end of the day. Lovely. Yeah.
We say true source of truth, and then for stakeholders, let's do the entire organization because I think it's a general problem.
Yes.
The organization, so they can make decisions using data, speak the same number.
I liked his last sentence, then doing our jobs so that they can actually do their jobs and not fight on what's right or what's wrong, or less fight.
I'm sure it's not a real fight, but it's a stressful situation.
Fight club.
It could be a very good solution, I think.
Evolution says hello. Survival of the fittest. We're not trying to fix.
What don't we try to fix? What are we trying to avoid here? What are the boundaries that we need to set?
Yeah.
I think we don't touch the reports, because the reports actually we will need to touch some extent the reports maybe, or the data.
Depends on their architecture. Depends on the data architecture. Are they directly sourcing from an operational system, or do they have a DVH, a data warehouse in between? So that's, again, we don't know their tech stack. So we won't touch more or less tech stack. We won't touch architecture.
So we're saying we don't touch the tech stack and the architecture. We assume there are 3 sources.
Yeah.
And from boundaries perspective, we don't touch the reports, we said.
Maybe we should, even as an assumption, work with, okay, they're having a central data warehouse. Because otherwise, if we now then come to an alignment and say, okay, hey, then in the next step, we have to recommend you have to touch the reports.
Yeah.
Or we'd have to recommend, please, for God's sake, use a single source, not even of truth, but just from where you distribute everything else and pre-calculate. So as we always say, shift as much left as you can.
So let's, did I destroy something? No. Okay, good. So we have a clarity statement now. Within 90 days, we need to solve true source of truth for the organization so they can do their job and not fight on whose numbers are right. But we are not trying to fix reports dashboards because we won't touch tech stack nor architecture. We assume there are 3 sources of truth. They have central warehouse. So this is basically our assumptions. This is basically what we don't touch and what we touch. Are we good with this clarity statement?
Yes, sign of approval.
So I will say we can jump now into the brainstorming for the solution space. I will paste here on the top the clarity statement that we created so we have it clearly if we need to refine to it. And this is time now to go off the record and let me pause the recording. Philip, we are back.
Yeah.
And I can say honestly on my side, these 15 minutes were not enough. I feel that I'm still in a very big chaos in what I wrote down, and I think I could have done a little bit better. I hope your 15 minutes were a little bit more productive. Awesome. How was it for you actually, these 15 minutes?
Actually good, because the underlying issue here of misalignment or no clear alignment is part of my day-to-day work when working on beta strategy consultancy. Where are we heading and why don't we have the same understanding of X, Y, or Z? So that was actually quite fun, just writing this, just plotting this down. But yeah, you can do this into nitty-gritty, smaller and smaller scales and more definitions. I've tried to keep it in also your color coding. I hope
Would you like to start by presenting?
Right, we'll see. But yeah, overall, first of all, what I'd love to have was, why did this question actually come up? And now, and second, only now, because marketing's calculations for their budget is hopefully based somewhat on customers. Product's rollout of features is hopefully bound to some sort of customer. And honestly, sales, their money and payout is based hopefully on contracts. Okay, first of all, what we actually need to understand, and this is more of an underlying additional information, what we need beforehand before to do anything of that, is to get a grip on where are we heading, why are we heading in this direction. So what's our business and what's our growth strategy as a business? Second point, which I should have maybe extracted, is also, what is our ideal customer profile? Why is that important? Because that shows us what additional data do we actually need. What are dimensions, what are properties, number of employees, or yearly revenue, or household income if it's a B2C business and stuff like that. And now we're starting with the huge question: what actually defines a customer? When is a person a customer? There are businesses, lead businesses out there, that define a customer as somebody that they're selling leads to. So somebody they've got a contract to, they are a customer, but they only get paid when they use a lead and they generate business by this. But still, once somebody's signed up, this is more or less a B2B2C business style of things. So that is, again, why we need this business underlying business. So I think it's not really, the issue is not really the sense of it's different systems, but it's missing clear boundaries. When does a lead become XYZ? Yeah, classic stuff is marketing qualified, sales qualified, converted, and then at some point maybe even churned. Because we need also that break point of, when is somebody not a customer anymore? That's what we want to get. How do we get there? First step, classic, we define more or less underlying customer journey. Why? Because we then understand in an open format what's the understanding of, when is somebody for marketing actually a customer? When is somebody for sale actually a customer? For sale, it's maybe when they sign a contract, but for product, it's maybe when the money has been on my bank account. Yeah. And for marketing, it's more or less they counted leads, which is totally fine. Yeah. Because that's an important part of the complete funnel step. What that then means is we understand the different definitions. And again, we all know that with a lot of our spend in marketing, and this is now me talking as a old CMO, just in digital channels, we need to funnel that information back to our digital channels so that their magic algorithms and black boxes can do their mumbo jumbo and give me more of those people that I pay money for so that they pay me money. We somehow also need to get that information back about that's a lead, that's somebody that's sales qualified, that's somebody who actually converted and paid me. Yeah. And I need all of those 3 information points back in my systems. And then again, that's a definition point. That means we have to have a hands-on workshop. That means get into a room, get Post-its, get markers, say this is now 2-day blocked, we're doing customer journey, we need this because then we can define what is what in which stage. How many leads do we have? What's the quality of the lead? Next step then is, again, what's the incentive behind this? Sales gets paid on signed contracts. Totally fine. They'll have a different incentive about counting than, for example, product. For example, than marketing. So also underline everybody, and this is then something the C-level founders, or however we want to call them, really have to get a grip on and understand. If we misalign this, you'll always have this issue with counting. Because if you start something, define something as a KPI, you'll always have people in your organization who try to game the system. So from start day one, if you're aligned on business strategy, and if you're aligned what somebody is in which stage as a customer, then you have to understand, okay, what are the possible incentives for my employees, for the people I pay, to actually game that system? And that's something I don't want, because we want to grow together. So most of the times, if you're working with bonuses and something, then align your complete acquisition stages in one sense. That means marketing gets a bonus, sales gets a bonus, and even post-purchase gets a bonus or something. Post-purchase gets a bonus if customers stay longer than the norm, which is only through support from marketing, stuff like that. And based on all of that we've just done, that's a lot of talking. That'll be one day, one room, a lot of pizza and stuff, and maybe hopefully also drinks afterwards, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. You'll have a set of possible definitions. And now comes the magic. We take those definitions and we define a clear owner. We say lead count is marketing, and that'll always be marketing. And we say sales qualified is always sales, one specific person. And then we have to think in funnels. Then we can also clearly define the funnel. And product maybe is always for the real number of actually paying customers, or it's sales or somebody. But only once we've got that definition. So last step then, you log those decisions. You say, we aligned for this and this, and that's the source of the data that we'll use for this. And now comes the magic. Once we've got that, there is no more way around than everybody having democracy at play, having been aligned, because we've all been 16 hours in the same room and we always want to go home and just be happy and get our lives work. We'll get everything connected to cash. Because that, at the end of the day, is the lifeblood of the company. And that means maybe at some point we'll say, okay, we'll just use our bank account as the source of truth. How many customers do we have? And we'll just count the different IBANs that sent us money. Hallelujah. We have paying customers without ERP system, without CRM system, or something else.
I agree. Amen to that.
And then the last day, there's the easiest recommendation that I can, as a quick one, can only give. A customer is somebody who's paid. Full stop. What does that mean? Just on a tech quick function, we'll have a website. We'll have some sort of form, because I'm now doing this on a B2B lead business scale. We have some sort of lead form that marketing shifts traffic on the website with good landing pages. And when somebody enters the form and submits, please get in contact with me, or I download the white paper, or I want a demo, or I don't know what, we'll send that as a first tracking signal back to our system. And that's, I bet you, from where marketing got their numbers. Totally fine, but they're counting leads. Next is that stuff from the form gets into my sales system. That can be your CRM, or it can directly be your ERP or something else. We don't care, But that means now marketing is in charge. And once marketing does something with that contacts them, and they say, no, I'm not interested, thank you very much, goodbye, then we'll also send that back to marketing systems, because now we've realized, data quality, that lead, it wasn't that good. System, magic black box, give me less of those. Totally fine, we can do that with offline. But that again means we've corrected the number in the marketing system. Top of the funnel. So I've got only 4 seconds left. And we'll do this step by step based on the customer journey, all the way down, until we've got everything in the most relevant system, which again, hopefully is your backend system. But you'll still always have everything aligned. That's my nice little recommendation.
Cool solution. I must admit, I think you went much deeper than what I did. I stayed very up on the upper level of it. I didn't have this depth. But I'm also missing quite a lot about B2B. So while I was owning a company that was doing B2B, I think we were very messy for data people. We all agree on it. We just created leads and we were throwing it and trying to maximize it. I think that if we would have called you back then, could have saved quite a lot of lost sales.
Thank you very much. Most of the data issues are communicational issues. Yes, we always say it's data quality and blah, 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 but why do data quality issues occur? Because I haven't correctly informed you why, for me, it's important that that value is correct. So if you can't understand that, you can't evaluate the impact of missed data quality, which makes my life harder because I was too dumb to explain it to you. Which makes me pissed off about you because you don't value, you create more work for me, and then you're in this shit show of everybody hating each other. Instead, just sitting down and saying, I need this for that and that reason. I know that puts extra work on your end. Maybe we can find a solution that makes me come to a 70 path of the way, and you only get 10% more work for that, but then we're both happy. And it's just talking. And we're just not talking enough. We are always on the, especially in data, we're always on the plan of we have to do stuff. Yeah, we've got that FOMO endeavor of, oh, there's this new tech and we have to implement it and blah. And I'm always sitting there like, we have to sell our solutions also internally, because then all of that shit show just goes out the door. Listen more as data people and then show that value. Sorry for that quick excursion.
No worries. You know, it's so Ilya, who was a guest, is said it's people first, then the technology, then the solution gonna be easy. And I completely agree with this approach. If we looking at basically what I was discussing, so I try to figure out, and I always do it like it's a little bit of a flow for me to fix first from the architecture wise, what do I see? Okay. And I think that what I found out is like, we need to first create a KPI definition library, somewhere we can actually store all of this information. So it's very similar to where you arrived to, but I think I took it a little bit in a different approach, because what I actually try to say here, I want to basically close it to only 5 to 8 metrics. So I want to limit it. I don't want now to start to expand, especially when we're talking about small company. The more metrics, the more KPIs we need to deal with, the more issues we're going to have down the line. Then publish it in a central place, easy place. If they have Confluence, I don't know what is the size of the company, Asana, whatever they have, they can just place it there and do it. Even a Miro or a Figma board can be very helpful. This is what I learned. And here I took it in a different approach. So instead of them sitting in a room first and eating pizza and drinking, I want to do it in an asynchronous way. They're mostly eating, let's face it. And we discuss a little bit, but we eat a lot. But the idea behind it is, instead of throwing everybody into this room and having this discussion, is I was thinking about, okay, let's first do asynchronous, ask the teams to fill up a form or basically explain how do they arrive to the certain metrics that we have published. So if they have any relationship with it, because marketing and product can share same metrics or same like installs or users or sales or whatever, but each of them can define it in a different way. So let them actually put it in a paper so we can all look at it and understand what's going on there. And then assign one owner out of all of these people that fill up the details to actually bring them together into one refined, well-defined source of truth. So the idea behind it is that we're breaking it into smaller groups so it's easier to handle. And we don't now bring everybody to discuss, because one of the things that, at least based on my experience, when you're having a lot of people in the room, there is a lot of emotions, a lot of politics. And once you're breaking it to smaller focus groups, you can do in 1 to 2 hours what you're going to achieve in 8 hours. This was like the way that I was thinking. Okay, so just to give a rough explanation to it, you're breaking down to smaller groups, having discussion, and the idea behind it at the end of it is to create some kind of a central certified data layer, which do not allow non-certified data arrive to the reporting system. This is, I think, one of the things that a lot of us forget. We have the tech that is allowing us to actually limit what data sets people access and not. And too often we going by the truth of we need to give data to everybody. Everybody needs to have access to everything. And it's wrong, because the more access you give to people to data that is not normalized, it's not checked, the more mess you're creating, because each of them going to get some numbers, and then you're arriving to the meeting as the CPO was in, that nobody could agree on numbers because each of them had their own way to compute. So in this way, you're limiting their ability to start playing with numbers. You try to normalize as much as possible. And only what is certified and agreed by the organization, this is the true source of data, can arrive into this folder and can be accessible by the users. And then also what I mentioned here, because I saw some constraints, and one of them is small company, maybe there is not enough people bandwidth. This is one of the problems that a lot of small companies are dealing with. Maybe we should make sure that there is an analyst that are on the same, they're on the same page about data quality and computing. They all align on how they're doing it. They align on how we're doing computing, and they are also the owners at the end of the day of this metric. So we know exactly who to reach out to whenever there is an issue with the numbers. There is no more running around like headless chickens. Another constraint that I identified is like there is no KPI in governance most likely, and they're not going to have the time to do it. Small company don't have the time to build now a governance team or even hire somebody who's going to do governance in the organization in most cases. And somebody will need to create the reality for them. So there needs to be, the group needs to be the governance and the analyst at the same time, and then we need to figure out how they're working with it. And whenever there is a new source that is being introduced, so we have a new, I don't know, ERP system now because we got some more budget and we implemented something new, it needs to be compared before it's connected, even before it's plugged in into the warehouse. It needs to be compared against the existing ones. And what I learned there is many times you can already do fine tuning and balance if needed, with saving quite a lot of the mess that's coming later. This at least was my view about it. For quick wins, this is like the first, 30 days as I see it. It's one person per KPI responsible for maintaining it. Really quickly set up now who is responsible for it as the quickest win possible, and also keep the definition simple. Don't go now into I'm computing this and then I'm balancing it with that. And nobody can start now introducing issues that may manipulate the numbers someplace wrong, and we keep it simple. From the perspective of concerns I have, and I have 3 concerns here that I have defined. The first one is alignment. The workshop get postponed or rushed. This is, when there is small organization, it's hard to bring everybody together because there is always something urgent that somebody needs to solve, and then it's getting pushed back. And this is why I actually decided to say, let's do it asynchronous and then bring smaller teams, because it's easier to do that. And sometimes it's even rushed because now we have an incident, everybody needs to leave, and then we're just finalizing it with some decisions that we're not going to be happy with in later on stages. We need to figure out how we're actually balancing this concern. We also have these teams that are going to feel that their definition is the more correct one. And here again, this is another concern that I always have when I'm coming, because how do you actually then making the decision? Who is the one that making decision? And I think here, what is important is also to define the owner, and he can make the final decision. If there is a debate between 2 to 3 teams on whose numbers are correct, there is one person who can make this decision that's saving the hassle of who is the more correct. And then all of them needs to disagree and commit, because we are all grown up and we need to understand that this is a business at the end of the day. And right now, this is what we have. Another concern that I have is about regarding the definition maintenance in small companies. People leave, people come, people join. All of a sudden, the company jumps from 50 people to 200. And to maintain it, we're going to be very tough for them. So we need to figure out how they're doing it in a centralized place. And this is why I said central certified data layer. This is the only way that you can actually enforce some kind of order in there, because nobody can actually just add stuff into it. What do you think?
I think the most important part really is that they're on the same page.
We are.
That's as always, the clearest takeaway. Tech is there as a safeguard. It's the guardrails.
Correct.
But you can also, sorry again for language, fuck up luck with tech if you just trust that too much. And we're seeing that still currently in that nice little bubble that we're all lost in. And some people completely losing their minds and their shit because of AI and AGI. And now since yesterday, or rather today in the morning for Europe, we've now got ChatGPT 5. Hallelujah. And it's the new survivor and savior of all of us. And then you're looking into it and you're like, it's an evolution. That's no revolution. But okay, hey. Yeah, good. Nice.
I don't know if you saw, but Databricks now is working with ChatGPT to structure your data. We're getting there slowly.
Because we're still talking from a language perspective. Language is process and data is process. And so you can only do as much as it if your definitions are correct and if your meta descriptions are right. So if you've got a meta catalog and you've got a clear definition and written definition of what is, and you've got all of that internal knowledge of your organization somewhere that theoretically it's good indexed, and you've got either a vector or some sort of database around it, then yeah, we can manage that. But the thing itself, you can throw it data and then it'll, as we all know, based on likelihood, define that it's correct. And yeah, a lot of businesses work the same. So if your business has customers and customers are something, as I said, they pay you money directly and it's not something like B2B2C or something like that, then it'll do magic for you. But the complexity is, what are your internal processes? What's those break-off points? Where are the steps, handovers, etc., pp, all that, where the thing just breaks completely.
I think
because it doesn't have the information.
I think it was, I forgot his name now. I think it's Massimo Butelli. It's a chef. He's a Michelin star chef. And what he said is that you can have the top ingredients in the world and you can put them all on the dish. But if they don't connect to each other, you're just wasting your time. And this is exactly the problem now where we're going towards. There is a lot of data. You can use it all. Is it actually creating an impact or any movement? And I think this is where we all hold up in, and we're trying to figure it now. That's the truth.
Yeah. And oftentimes now tech, and then I'm closing any AI model out there, so any generative AI model out there, is a band-aid on organizations not having their processes under structure and stuff like that.
We don't have much more time left for us today. I will want to start summarizing this episode. Philipp, would you like to start presenting your insights?
Yes. I think independent of the size of the company, transparency is king, queen, and joker. Joker especially. And because if I understand what drives you and what motivates you for specific action, I am better aligned. And I can then either go into transparent, constructive discussion with you on why maybe that's not good or why it's good. And so you have to enforce as management, as C-level, to get your people to actually talk about what is what and how do I understand what is what. And so what's a customer? When is a customer actually a customer? We'll stop.
If you allow me, I'm already moving into the key insights. Would you like to continue? Go ahead.
Yeah. Second thing, and I think that was very, very, very valuable from you. SMEs often run into limited resources, issues, benchmarks, restrictions. Also, large companies do that because we've all got 1,000 things on our plates and we have to do, and our backlogs are huge and yada, yada, yada. But I think sometimes it's really then up to management saying, this is this, full stop. No more discussion needed. This is how we've defined it. And this is not contradictory to what it just said. This is just, we have to pick our fights wisely. And fights are good if they're constructive. That's not negative. If they advance us to better understand our business model, our core metrics, that's the best thing you can have. But sometimes it's really just management saying, hey, our backend system is the source of truth because they're paying, and only people who are paying are in that system. So hallelujah, that's the number of customers we have. And that's also totally fine for marketing, because marketing can still calculate their marketing efficiency ratio. Just take all of your budget spent, divide it by the number of customers from your backend, and hallelujah, you've got a number. Yeah, and you can compare that. You can take decisions on that. But it's totally fine that you've got different definitions of when a customer is a customer. That's totally okay. Yeah, again, sales maybe once the contract is signed, and product only once they've started using the product and they've paid. Totally okay. Just everybody has to know.
Correct.
So on each and every of your reports that you're building, just have a clear definition. Have a definitions page or have a starting page with the core definitions of this count just there in that report, not somewhere hidden away in the last thing of Jira or Confluence or Notion or somewhere else. Right in your face, this is what we're counting, this is how it's defined, this was defined then and then by that person, and he's responsible, full stop. Action items. First, just enforce that central number. You're a small company, management, just say this is how we count it. Yeah, and maybe please use number of paying customers. That would help everybody. Second, yeah, you're okay. We've just discussed LLMs and Gen AI. It's okay to use AI here to help you define those definitions. Yeah, let it guide you through that path. And there's no third action item.
That's good. I like the using AI for aligning. I'm also moving this one into the key actions because I think we should use more AI today, but we should also use it in a smart way. And I think This is the important part of it. From my side, what I put as an insight is as follow. Small companies can't afford to waste time on large databases or dashboards. This is one of the truths that we all need to accept. And I think that when we're looking at it, we should be able to constrain as much as possible in this part and make it small but effective. People first, so most problems are related first to communication, then to tech. Is what we discussed. I think it's a very important insight to take out of this episode because at the end of the day, we all people and we need to be able to talk. We must set who owns and can make decisions to ensure move. This, I think, very similar to what your point was here about arriving to the decision and that's it. We agree to it and there is no fights about it. I think this is a very similar point. And I think it's very important as well. I agree on it completely. And then from actions to take tomorrow, I put here 3 points. Document 5 to 8 KPIs. I really believe that we need to be able to document these KPIs and make sure that they are relevant and that we can actually say, this is what we care about as a business. And later on, we can add more stuff. Asynchronous collection of feedback. I think this saves quite a lot of the mess of bringing everybody together. I like workshops, but when you're already letting everybody steam in advance, they're going to arrive laser focused already because they already saw what the other think. And they also can create the counter arguments for that. So it's becoming much more effective. And then the third point for me, the third action is set certified layer. This is what isolating us from having the mess of numbers because we have one layer that everybody goes to and there is less fights about it because this is what it's there. This is the number. Now, the fact that you have a number, as you said before here, also on your point, it's okay to have different numbers. It's fine. In your silo, compute or calculate however you want. It should not disturb me all the time that you're aligning that the main KPI is a number that was defined and this is the true source. So if you're showing that you have 15 registered users and the original says 10, you cannot come and argue that yours shows more numbers. The agreed one is the 10 and in your own silo you're counting 15 because you have a different way of defining it, which is completely fine. But it's not messing the entire company numbers. It's going to be only in your silo, only in your area. And I think this is like my 3 actions to take away from here. So we still have space for 2 more key insights and 3 actions. Any recommendation what you will take? What will you drag?
Clearly the one people first, most problems related to communications. That one's just way too important not to have a bit more. There we go.
I would do also the management should make a decision. I think management needs to be involved in a lot of
yes. It's not about involvement. It's just about, okay, pick your fights, which I think really is important in this thing because that just sounded like that was politics at play, power play, a lot of that. And that just really helps nobody.
I agree.
And just, again, as the person who added this already said. And key actions, sync of feedback always is good, especially to get the alignment on why are we understanding it in this manner or not different something else.
I think I would go with this as actions because I think this is like the 2 main ones.
Yes. Yeah.
And when we're talking about the certified layer or the document or even the enforced central numbers, this is very general. I think
yes.
It should be as a part of, you need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? Let's add the enforced central number as well.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 actions.
Up. Stay there. You go up there.
Cool. And now for the designing.
Stay there. Stay now.
Don't go anywhere now. Let me do this. Here. If so, for the main idea of this podcast, did we get a breakthrough, you think, or did we, or not at all?
We're still quite only touching the surface because, again, we were missing some central points about what's their current tech stack, what's their business model, how are their processes, and maybe, and I hope this because I've always seen good in people. The issue there was more or less about politics and people not being aligned, but then why aren't they aligned? Why didn't management, C-level founders align them from the start? And that's something that's within their organization. And without that knowledge, anything that we've talked about only really suffers. Everything's true that we said in putting it for dear listeners. But as we said, as one of the core insights is it's communications. And we haven't had insights into their communicational patterns, into their internal ways of information flow. So I'd say rather question mark, because we're missing insights to actually define this. If we could have told them, yeah.
So on my side also, I think it's not exactly, because I think that we stayed a lot in the theory, so the generalistic approach of it, as you said, and we couldn't go into the details themselves. And I think this is something that would have helped quite a lot to have more details about how did it happen, what is exactly the issue, what is the tech stack, how things are flowing in there. But I think that the rules that we set are quite important. So the actions we have here, I think the insights we brought are quite relevant. Also the brainstorming areas are quite rich and can give the basic starting for somebody who needs to solve this problem. And then each issue, I think, is independent. And then this is something that people will need to figure out now, how they're doing it going forward.
Yeah.
Then I think that we both agree. So we didn't fully solve it, but we are getting there. And whoever going to continue here, we need to basically start building the good foundations, but we need to start structuring properly the solution itself and how they're solving it. Cool. So nothing else to add before we leave, or would you like to say something?
To that problem giver person, what you're actually dealing with is a cultural issue, and that has to be addressed, because otherwise all of those three units will not work aligned but against each other, and that can't be enforced. So you frame at the beginning, that discussion part was framed so negatively. The discrepancy was public and possible to ignore. Yeah, but it should be. And I can't trust the data my own team gives me. That's something I understand. Why? Because it's your data from your unit, so hopefully from your backend as a CPO. And you're spending more time defending numbers. Don't spend the time defending numbers. Spend the time asking, why are the numbers different? Get out of that position of defense and get into a position of active listening, hearing, which for me should actually be the role of a CPO, because customer understanding also works in understanding your colleagues.
I think that this episode was interesting one. I'm really happy you joined.
Again, thank you for having me. I think what we've still delivered is a good foundation for everybody who runs into that issue, and they can now decide, what do I know about my organization? Where do we have to better understand ourselves? Or is it really a source of missing documentation? Or is it now really just management having to say, okay, we're using our bank account, or we're using Shopify data, or we're using Baba as whatever. Bye everybody. Get in contact on LinkedIn. Listen, I'm restarting my podcast, Data Engage. It is on German. Everything's in the comments. Perfect.
Correct. Was just about to say it. If they want to reach to Philip, you can find
as a host.
Everything going to be in the comments, and feel free to reach out, and see you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
This was another episode of Data Breakthroughs. I hope you enjoyed as I did during the session and listening to it. Thank you for joining and tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Until then, if you have a problem and you would like it to be featured, feel free to edit in the form below in the comments section. Also, if you would like to join as a guest, I'm always enjoying meeting new people. Feel free to submit the form. If there is a fit, we're going to reach out and we're going to coordinate the next recording. I will see you in the next episode.